We got Bats and Len.
Whoa.
They're due, aren't they?
They're due. What do you think?
Jimmy brings out the best.
I'll tell you, I bring the best out of everybody. When these guys play, they play to kill me. And just like last week, Tim Joy, 27 now.
Hi, boys. You think we'll get this round in today?
No.
No, you say no. How about you, Ron?
I'm saying that we will because this has been going on for about 12 hours and it hasn't rained yet.
I like it.
Okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the 26th Tee Studios.
I'm Dunsey,
And I'm Gags.
and once again we're going to bring you the highlights and the lowlights of the Golf Group League at Fox Hills Classic.
We'll talk about some great shots and awesome stories, as always.
And we'll remind you of all the funniest blunders and classic meltdowns,
There's going to be some stats and some stories.
mixed in with some humor and, of course, lots of sarcasm.
It's all about Wednesday golf.
And Wednesday golfers
Welcome back.
to Mulligan's Island.
So Sammy, what do you think? What do you think about the rest of the day here?
I don't think the heavy stuff's going to come down for a while yet.
Oh, I think you're right.
I don't think so. Nope,
What do you think, Doc? The heavy stuff still coming down yet?
I think so. See, that's a Florida guy. What you going to do with a Florida guy? They got to have everything so perfect.
I mean, hey, listen, when it rains in Florida, it rains sideways. This is nothing.
I think that's sideways.
Yeah.
That's pretty much sideways right there.
Mike, we always like to start with the weather from the previous week, and boy, do we have weather stories.
The weather was the story yesterday.
It was the story.
We had one group that only got 4 holes in. We had a couple of groups that got 5 holes in. We had some groups, 4 or 5 of us, that finished all 9, but it got dicey at the end.
Starting to get a little nasty.
Yeah, it was strong winds and some thunder. We don't need to be out there for that, and we'll go over some of the things that transpired with the shortened. Hey, Warren! How you doing, buddy?
Good, buddy. How are you?
Good.
A little cold.
Did it rain where you were at? Mike, let's clear up a few things. The executive committee, you and Johnny J-Mo, come up with a plan for yesterday's shortened round. Mike, what did you guys come up with?
So normally we might have canceled a day like yesterday completely, but because we can't, we decided that we're going to count this round. So I talked to John and I explained what I thought would happen, and indeed it did. Went home and I put in X's for everybody's score that didn't finish a hole.
Mm-hmm.
So if you didn't finish your last 4 holes, you got 4 X's. Now the computer takes the X and it gives you a score based on your net average over par. So what that allowed us to do then is we actually could complete matches and score them. So that's what I did. I put it in, it calculated the round, and
Everybody tied the holes that they didn't finish, correct?
if they were X's, they tied and got 1 point each, and then the holes that they played ended up, whatever the result was. So
Right.
it worked out pretty cool.
It is what it is for this year, and we'll come up with a plan for next year if we're back to normal.
Now, because of that, O'Neill and Yaquinto had quite a week, and Pat O'Neill, now in his 2nd week of actual play, has pulled his team into first place, leading the league with 116 points. They've taken the lead from Warren and James, bad Warren and James, Paffhausen and Radgens, who are dropped just below him at 115 points.
Here's 4th place. Here they come.
And then in third place, we have a three-way tie. Flomo, Florio and Mundros, who beat...
You notice they're staying back this year.
Yeah.
They're not going out in front early.
They beat us up yesterday. They've moved into a tie for third with Waite and Ward, another perennial good team, and Dozy and Morano,
JMO.
who struggled last year and now find themselves tied for third.
Forward tees. I don't know. You think forward tees have anything?
Forward tees. FT. FT, that's all I got to say.
Okay, anyway, we're past that now. Okay.
So how do you boys think about playing these two guys when they get the hit from the forward tees?
I was just talking. We were just talking about
Yeah,
that.
and what was the conversation like?
The way they hit the ball, I think they should be hitting from the blacks.
Ron, what do you think? Any
I'm a
thoughts?
little concerned.
Okay, well, we'll check back with you later on and see how you did. So you basically what you're saying is you're calling bullshit.
Yeah.
Okay, have fun.
Hilarious, that's for sure.
I gotta give them strokes.
That's bullshit.
So, of course, always going along with the top of the standings is the bottom of the standings.
Uh-oh.
Baldwin and Hill, even though they had super sub Jeff Ellenwood yesterday, are still in 20th place with only 85 points. Bonder and Sarabian have dropped into 21st.
Yeah, they had some issues going yesterday.
Well, first of all, Sarabian couldn't play. He got a sub. The sub got in a car accident and didn't show up, so they lost all those points. And then Bats and Lynn, still on the bottom with 74 points.
Man.
But I don't think they're going to remain there.
No.
I don't think so.
No, I think they'll come on.
And that's the standings after a crazy week of partial golf.
Yesterday with the wind being just brutal.
was
We
brutal.
were able to find some a low gross player and some low nets. Go ahead, Mike.
Well, you know, as the last time we expected the lakes to be a little tougher on everybody, and then with the weather conditions, it finally really reared its ugly head.
Yep.
Doug Ward shot the best score of the day with a 38. Bob Waite shot 39. And Dan Van Horn shot 41.
JVH, he lost the beard. He's getting serious.
Usually I don't include anybody that's not 40 and under for low gross, but 41, just one guy outside of it,
We'll bring him in.
we'll throw him in.
Yeah. And now it brings us to low net, Mike.
Low net. We had Frank Sinagra, who shot a 32X. 32X is the score you get when you don't finish all your holes and you had X's in there. So the computer gave you the score. JVH shot a real 32 because he finished.
He finished. Yeah. Attaboy,
Ron
Jimmy.
Fry,
Ronnie.
Tim Joy, and Frank Yaquinto all shot 34X, with Doug Ward shooting a real 34.
Sounds like SpaceX.
I know. It's the way it works. And then Darwin Johnson,
Oh boy. Here
Jim
we go.
Scheibel, both shot 35 X's, net par X's, with Doug Ward shooting a real net 35.
Yeah.
So this week we had 20% of our league who scored net par or better, as opposed to last week when we had 70% of the league with net par and better.
For all you golfers that shot something X, your
Yeah.
handicap goes something down X also.
It's possible, yes.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Now, we did have one golfer who also shot an X score,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a 60X.
Oh boy.
And that was poor Mr. Dan Bondar.
Oh boy. Danny was struck. He first his partner didn't show, then his sub didn't show, then it rained, and then his playing opponents
Opponents took off
Bolted.
after 4 holes.
literally bolted.
So you end up with a 60X for a
Just
net
driving around out there.
45X, which makes you the
Hacker of the week. But with an asterisk and
an X and a Y
so
and a
don't
Z
take it
and-
personal. Yeah.
All right, so John Birchler questioned Fred Brunk. Well, he actually questioned me about why Fred Brunk would card an 11 on the second hole. I think it was on the hills. Sometimes there are circumstances. For instance, how is it possible that a person could be laying 9 on the green and his opponent would make him putt it out? That is a dilemma.
That's our dilemma for the week.
Yeah.
Let's go and take a look and see what happened and what the outcome was, guys.
All right.
Mike, we had a discussion last week about the 11 that one of our golfers had that you should
Yeah.
probably pick up and just throw that X in there.
That's what you think, unless there's some reason that you don't. But,
Right. So it reminds me of a story from yesterday when
Okay.
I'm struggling as always, and my opponent was on the green and putting for 10. Now some say, just tell him to pick it up.
Yeah.
Not the case though, Mike. Here's why. Jim holed out with an 8, and I had to give 2 shots. So
did he make the putt?
he made the putt for a 10, and we tied the hole.
Tied the hole with an 8 and a 10.
That's why you
See,
sometimes have
that could
10s and
be what
11s.
happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
could have been. But anyway, Dave, way to make that downhill putt. We tied with a 10 and an 8. Mike, we had a incident yesterday that last week it was the go or no go club.
I remember that.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
Sam Stukel.
Sammy Stukel has a go or no go. But yesterday I found out one of the golfers has a whisper wedge.
A whisper wedge?
Whisper wedge.
What is a whisper wedge?
Okay, we're gonna go find out right now.
I only got 2 hours left on the video, so whenever you get your right club, just get on up there.
Looks like a clear day to me.
What do you think, Dave? What do you think? So he's got a pitch wedge or something here. The whisper wedge. Whisper wedge.
That'll work.
Oh, that's pretty funny. Who would have thought the W stands for whisper? Whisper wedge. Good job, boys.
Way to go, Dave Thomas.
So how many putts did you have on that, Andy?
I was on the back side of the green. And I 4-putt for a 5.
And I double whacked in the sand. Missed a short putt for a 6.
As they say, shit happens.
Golf.
Mike, this is the segment where we usually list all the winners of the Sheeny pool and the Wardo pool.
Yeah.
But, take it away.
But because of the weather and because everybody didn't finish, there were decisions made concerning each pool. Everybody finished 4 holes. So John Morano was going to give out prizes for anybody who got a skin in the first 4 holes. That did not happen. So therefore, the money that was going to this week's pool will go to next week's pool, which means that if it was $10 a hole, there'll be an extra $10 a hole for next week.
Wow.
So that's kind of cool. But it's not all going to the first hole. It's just going to get split between them. So that's what we did. And then Ward, he did collect some money. Doug did, but he said with the weather and everything, he's just canceled the whole thing out. If you paid for this week, you will get credit for next week.
Pay it forward.
So there we go.
All right, so that brings us to basically no payouts this week, right?
No payouts.
All right, Mike, that brings us to the end of Mulligan's Island for this week. So next week we're going to try to eat and drink outside of the clubhouse.
On the patio.
Yep, bring your chairs. And hopefully we have a beautiful day. So in saying that, I'm Gags.
And I'm Dunsey.
And we hope you enjoyed this week's edition of Mulligan's Island. Bye, guys.